Howdy, Jess.
Hello. Turn my volume down a little bit.
Trying to turn everything off on my computer so I don't end up all distracted.
Now that's what I always have to do for these. Let Andy know I'm running CAC from right here so I don't disturb him.
And it's not like he's giving up his certifications and stuff and these things.
No, he can always go back.
He can always go back.
I mean, they're crying for them.
Why don't
all
I
the
have
time.
video?
The worst thing is keep your insurances and stuff going. Your health insurance and all that.
My nephew's in a diesel. That's a shit program. Sydney, Nebraska, right now. The Love's truck stop there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have video.
Out there is a tire monkey.
Yeah.
And they're training you to be a diesel mechanic.
My grandson's going to school at Pikes Peak to be a diesel mechanic. He's got a year and a half behind him now. He's got about 6 months to go with something like that. I don't know.
Let's see, who are our phone numbers? We have a, let's see, 71011. Who is this one?
Got a couple of pistols I took out of the case after 5 years of laying around.
Who do we have on the line at 7481011?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Didn't hear this.
Who is that on the phone?
Yeah, we can figure that out.
We figured it out.
I don't want to bring it here and say, oh, I come in from.
Who do we have on the line at 684, or let's see, 684-2092?
Orrin Childers,
Hey, Orrin.
Bill Bowles,
Bill.
have to laugh because there are some of us who just stay on mute as much as possible. And then, sometimes we have to talk, but most of us are like, nope, nope, just hi. I realized I'm always staring at people's backgrounds. I'm like, that's a cool plant. And I wonder what that cool clock is. And
Is that a real background? Is that a palm tree in the ocean?
you're on mute, John.
Oh, there we go. You can choose different backgrounds for Zoom if you install it.
I haven't seen them move like that. That looks real.
Yeah, they got a half a dozen you could put on the back. Kind of fun thing.
It takes a computer that likes those, though, to work. Some
Maybe
of our
that's it.
computers are like, nope, I'm too old for that.
This is a 1-year-old iMac. I made the switch from Windows.
The clock behind me is actually, we bought it in Germany in the early 80s when I was stationed there. It actually will, one of those wind up gong and do the whole full meal deal. Every 15 minutes it'll give up a noise.
That's
Wind
cool.
it up.
I love the actual like clocks and not the battery clocks.
Mhm.
I've got an interest. So that's a really cool clock, Gordon.
Thank you.
If it's giving it up, if it's dawned already, you're 3 minutes early.
Oh no, I got it silenced.
Uh,
Jessica, I have a question.
Whichever Jessica you mean, fire away with the question.
Colin, are we ever going to get to the point where we can get back with spacing back at our table back there? This is
That discussion is indeed an agenda item for today. It's in our information items.
okay. Good. Okay, I'll hush up and wait till you talk.
you gotta wait till you get the agenda.
Hey, Kim, what kind of plant is it that you've got behind you? You're on mute.
Sorry. It's just some kind of a palm, but they grew it weaved like that.
That's
So
really pretty.
thank you. Hoping I can keep it. So far, so good.
Hello, everybody. Looks like we're at just a little after 3. Do we have quorum? With 12.
Don't count me as part of your quorum.
We do have a quorum.
Awesome.
Great.
I think Andrew is just joining us. It's okay, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We may get a couple stragglers in, but it looks like we've got a good group to get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this June meeting of the Community Advisory Committee.
Sharon Brown just joined.
It's not clear.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi. I can't see.
Good. Okay,
There's
it looks
Roy.
like it's all members and staff on the line, no guests, is that correct?
It is indeed currently how it is.
Okay. So the last couple meetings, I'm not sure if we've done introductions. Do we want to do that, or since we can all see who all is here, we'll avoid that, Jessica?
So I'll just say we've been doing a kind of a roll call version since I can see everybody, and I just go down the list and say everybody that I see officially, and then if I don't call on you, if you'll let me know afterwards.
I can't see. I can't see anybody except a whirling thing. This is Ann.
We can hear you, Ann, so.
Oh.
You may have to turn on your camera. Start the video.
I can see myself, but I don't see all of you. Ask you to start your video. Shall I say okay?
Yes, click OK. There we go. Gotcha.
There we go.
It says waiting.
It says waiting. We can see you. That's very strange.
I can't see anybody else.
Well, we'll play with it. I'm going to go ahead and do the roll call so they can get going on that, and then I'll check in with you and see.
That's okay.
All right. So just going down our roster here, I see Aubrey, Andrew, Kim, Oren, Tamara, Patty, Sharon Brown, Gordon, Roy Rosenthal, John, Donna, Ann, Terry, and Bill. And then we have guests with us, Catherine Winger and Sharon Thompson. Those are only guests today. Did I miss anybody that is a committee member that I didn't call? All right, so just remember, if you are presenting, some people are just on the phone, so be very descriptive. Make sure to state your name when making a motion. And other than that, I think that about covers everything. I'll turn it over to Aubrey.
Great, thank you. Okay, so the first agenda item is consent items. So if anybody wants anything pulled off or has questions about agenda minutes or financial report, please speak up. Otherwise, I would please ask for a motion to approve those.
Sharon Brown, I move to approve.
Thank you, Sharon.
Tamara Dipner, I second.
Great. Any additional discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Great. Okay. Next up is public comment, but we don't have any. Did you get any emails? No? Okay. So
We did not.
Good to move through that. All right, so the first action item, Jessica McMullen, CAC membership approval.
Thank you very much. So the nominating committee for the CAC membership nominating committee, consisting of Miley Foster, Tamara Dipner, and Shelley Rowers, interviewed the 4 applications that we had received, reviewed them and interviewed our candidates. We had received applications from Dave Betzler, Gordon Brick, Lynn Myers, and Carol Campbell. After those interviews, the nominating committee is recommending Mr. Dave Betzler and Ms. Carol Campbell for the 2 vacant citizen-at-large seats. If Tamara, Shelley, or Miley, and I think that's just Tamara in right now, would like to chat a little bit more about why they are making those suggestions. And
Hey, I believe, Patty, were you not involved in that conversation also? Patty, there?
I was not.
Okay, sorry. That must have got you confused. Yeah, sorry. I thought Shelley was going to give a quick recap of our interview process, and so I'm not super prepared, but we had excellent interview. I think Jessica, you could attest to that. Great candidates. So it was tough to choose from. I think the candidates that Jessica mentioned are the top 2 that we felt would be a strong contributor to our committee. And maybe I shouldn't mention this, but the folks that we did not select, I think those are also very good candidates for any future openings. And our understanding was that they're very soon we're going to have additional openings. So the 3 of us who were in the interview committee hope that you all, whoever's going to do those interviews, will visit with those folks again and get the other 3 candidates involved if at all possible. So, but overall, very excited. It was very exciting to meet such talented, intelligent folks who are committed to contributing to our community and to PPACG CAC. We lost Jim Moore, not lost in the sense he's gone forever, but we've lost him on this committee, and I feel like, you know, the candidates we're getting are going to really fill in nicely in a void that I think we're going to feel with Jim being on. So that's all I have. And if Leslie, Miley or Shelley gets on and have anything else to say, they could add to that. Does that work, Jessica?
that does work perfectly. And if anybody has any questions about the nominating committee process, who met, how they met, what they talked about, please let us know. Otherwise, the proposed motion for the CAC is to approve the nominating committee's recommendation to appoint Mr. Dave Betzler and Ms. Carol Campbell for the 2 vacant citizen-at-large positions. The process for that is your approval recommendation will go to the board for final confirmation. So there's your proposed motion and your information.
Okay, Patty Bencher, I approve the nominating committee recommendation to appoint Mr. Betzler and Mrs. Campbell for the vacant 2 state-at-large positions.
So we have a motion from Patty. Do we have a second?
This is
Sharon Brown. I'll second.
Donna, were you trying to second or did you have a question?
No, I was trying to second. That's all.
All right, sounds like we got one from Sharon. Any additional discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Great. Motion passes. Okay, the next item is also Jessica, legislative session update.
Hello again, this is Jessica. So for the legislative session, just to give a quick reminder, the legislative session convenes January 8th, and then due to COVID ended up recessing on March 14th, resuming May 26th, and adjourned for the year on June 15th. During that entire session, PPACG reviewed and took positions on 30 different bills and reviewed a large number of additional bills. At the end of the session, right before the very end of the session, the legislative committee did review 3 additional bills that were all of interest. The Senate Bill 2216, which was a workers' compensation for COVID-19. The PPACG board opposed that because it had such a large unfunded mandate to local governments. Senate Concurrent Resolution 20001, repealing the property tax assessment rates. That it's the Gallagher bill appeal, Gallagher amendment repeal. So if that will be on your local ballots in November. And then the last one that they looked at was Senate Bill 20217, enhancing law enforcement integrity. And that PPACG did monitor that. And that bill, as you know, did pass and has been signed by the governor.
Okay.
Does anyone have any questions about the legislative session, about the process on this, or how to be involved, or how to know?
Yeah, I'd like to, being new at this, are these bills brought to the CAC to review before they go to the board, or they go directly to the board?
The process for legislation is it goes directly from the nominating committee to the board of directors. The CAC receives an information item after the board has looked at it.
Thank you.
Jessica, this is Donna Wood. And I just have a comment, and I'm not sure if people have heard of an organization called Building a Better Colorado, but they have information on the change for the Gallagher amendment. They also have other information on there, but if anyone is interested, it's an organization that's been around since 2015, and anyway, it just, they have conversations across the state and listen to people and then try to build a better Colorado. But that's more extensive than that, but they also have information, if anyone is interested, specifically on the Gallagher amendment and what this legislation, or what it will be on the ballot. So if you're interested in that, you could go to www.betterco.org or just Google Building a Better Colorado. I heard of that organization. I found it to be helpful to explain everything more completely.
And League of Women Voters, since Shelley is not here at the moment, does also typically do some review of ballot items as well as elected officials during their process.
Okay.
I had just a couple things I wanted to tell Rick, since he brought it up, that when these things do come as informational items, it is appropriate for you to bring up legislative items that you don't see being reviewed, that you're aware of as a CAC member, to be considered by the legislative committee. So even though we don't really advise on their decisions, we can sort of contribute to what they consider.
And one of the other things that I do encourage and have had happen, if you see legislation throughout the year that you run into, if you send it to me and we'll pass it along to our legislative committee. Councilmember Thompson, who is here today as well, is a member of that legislative committee. And as she can tell you, they do a lot of intense review of legislation and try to bring things up. So if anyone hears anything that they don't know if we've looked at, send it on and I'll make sure that everybody gets the chance to review it.
So is the legislative committee just really dealing with like a state or on the state level, or does it also include just local cars from El Paso County level?
Jessica, can I take it?
Yes, indeed.
So up until this year, so back up about 5 years ago, the director of PPACG would basically review the bills and decide if it was a PPACG issue, and the board would just basically accept his recommendations. About 4 years ago, a bunch of us rebelled and we decided that we wanted more of an input in it. And so we're evaluating the bills. The first thing we have to decide, the first question we ask ourselves is this a PPACG issue? There's hundreds of bills out there, and you can't review them all. And so we look at, does it affect area on aging, transportation, help me out, Jessica, transportation, aging, water, air quality, and military. So those are the 5 areas we concern ourselves with. Now, it doesn't mean that we haven't taken positions on other bills because they're kind of on the fringe edges, and we also look at how this could affect us regionally. So, and some of them are really tough. A lot of times we'll say oppose as written, then we get in there and try to offer amendments, or we'll give support as written. We really have to watch it because there's so many changes, as you saw, as fast as that police bill went through. The changes were just coming, you couldn't even keep up with them. And because we had actually originally come out strongly opposed to that because of the very large financial bill that would be to our community. And as some of the changes went through, we moved over to monitor. And that was a very controversial bill. But any input you see on a bill, anything you would like to see written, we actually were in the process this year of writing a bill to submit and finding a legislator to work with us on. But obviously when COVID came, everything changed and that got dropped. But we do have a lobbyist that we've hired and she's there every day speaking with legislators and being our eyes and ears there and calling us if there's anything that greatly changes. And so we are having influence and we are being recognized by taking this position in the last 2 years. We go up at least once a year. We offer to testify if that's something you would be passionate about, going up and testifying on a bill. There's a lot of times one of us needs to go up there and none of us can go. So that would be another avenue that we would welcome any type of citizen input do note, if you do go up to testify on a bill, you will be there all day. So it doesn't matter what time the bill's scheduled for, you'll be there all day. Go
ahead.
Right now, we do not take positions on any local government items. They review state items and federal legislation, but we do not engage in local government politics. Nope.
Right.
Nope.
So if Colorado Springs had a bill, Fountain had a bill, Green Mountain Falls Monument, we wouldn't get involved in those individual cities because we're 17 government entities. We're talking as one voice. But we are meeting next Monday to start having a larger federal presence. We no longer have a federal lobbyist. As of a couple of years ago, we felt like we were not being represented well for the money we were spending. So we are going to take that up and start looking at some federal bills and taking a little bit more active approach. We seem to have several people, county commissioners and Colorado Springs people that are going to DC several times a year. So we're going to get together and have a message to be able to send with them when they're going. And then, you know, all of us bump into people, right? So that, you know, you need to be our voices and advocates out there too.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Does anyone have any other questions or comments to do with the legislative information and process or anything relating?
I just had a quick question sort of on the big picture. So just to clarify, session is done until next January, right?
Correct.
So
Yes.
what was the outcome? I heard you say that the law enforcement integrity passed and was signed. With the outcome of the other two, did you say that? The other two bills that you're mentioning.
Gallagher's going on the ballot.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gallagher is a ballot amendment, and if you give me.
And do you mean the family?
This workers' compensation for COVID?
I believe that died.
Okay.
And that bill was to basically flip workman's comp, that if somebody got COVID, you had to prove they didn't get it at work rather than them having to prove they did get it at work. And I believe that failed, didn't it, Jessica?
It died on June 10th in the Senate Finance Committee, in Senate Appropriations Committee.
Great, thank you. And so I wonder if, you know, given the budget shortfalls, they had to have worked through some of that in this session. Is that correct? Will there be any major impacts on our region that we should be made aware of?
There are expected to be some impacts. but they're going to come from a variety of disparate sources. So Sharon may be able to give some better examples than I can, but I don't think we're going to be able to tie anything specifically to this was cut. We're seeing federal money from the CARES Act come in and fill the increased needs for things like aging services and things like that. And I think we'll know a lot more about how the budget shortfall is actually impacting things for next year's budget.
I think for the rest of this year, I think most of the entities that I've seen seem to be doing pretty much like you would do at home, right? You don't rehire a position. You don't buy the large item that it can be put off. You don't do a big capital expenditure project if it can be postponed one more year. Maybe you have a hiring freeze. Those are some of the things we've implemented in Fountain. Hopefully that's as far as it'll go. It just depends on your community. Colorado Springs is a lot more dependent on tourist tax than the city of Fountain is. So that's kind of our saving grace at this point down there. But so it's going to depend regionally, how much they're dependent on the tourist tax and people going out to eat and all that kind of things. The other thing that's kind of helped entities is the fact that sales tax is now collected on items you're purchasing online, and it follows you to your community. That was enacted a couple of years ago, and I know a lot of people weren't real happy about it, but it really is helping your community now, because all that leakage that if you went to Denver to shop, even if you buy it in Denver now, the sales tax is following back to your city. So that has kind of been a hidden blessing that maybe none of us were thrilled with it when it was happening, but it's turning out to be a good thing now.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Rick. I also sit on the PPRTA CAC, and the financials that came in this last month didn't trend down, they trended up. And so we're looking at maybe it not being as severe as what we originally thought. And it was a pretty substantial increase over 2019, if that's helpful to anybody. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Any other comments or questions on this item? Okay, this one is just information only. So the next item is future meeting location.
So, as everyone knows, we began doing these Zoom meetings due to the state of emergency declared for the state of Colorado. One of the things that we have run into is the rules are changing. Things are loosening up, and part of that is a conversation about when we will be back in the building all the time versus when we'll be I think the best way to phrase it is, I put this on our agenda because I wanted your feedback. How do you feel the Zoom meetings have gone? Do you think that we should, in the past, we did not encourage Zoom participation. We preferred seeing people face to face. It's a little bit easier to have those side conversations to ask about the weather in local homes. But with the incorporation of Zoom, it seems like we've been able to have some really good participation, as well as people not having to make long, intense drives. So now I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to ask you all for your input.
So Jessica, one of the things that I would ask is the whole, and the word escapes me, but where we have to have enough attendance to be able to vote. What is that word that I'm searching for? Quorum. Are we allowed to consider it being a quorum if people are calling in or video conferencing in? Or is that in our bylaws, is that fine? I know with CTAB, another committee I'm on, they had to get that, I guess, because it was not allowed. You can call in and to have a quorum, so video conferencing. So we couldn't do that for the first month or two until we got that permission due to COVID that a quorum can be achieved through calling video conference or teleconferencing. So I guess that'd be my first question, if that
So
still works.
let me answer that question. Our board of directors actually, before we sent everyone home and began the mandatory Zoom meetings, updated all of the committee and board bylaws to allow full committee meetings to be held remotely. That means quorums can be met remotely and voting remotely is also allowed. It meant that we didn't have to lag behind like some other groups did because our board beat us to the question about it.
Okay.
They made sure we can.
Okay, perfect. So then I'm going to follow up with kind of my thoughts on the question, Jessica, you asked about how do I feel about it. I think it's great that we have the attendance. You know, I see on our attendance, there's a lot more present boxes being checked off of folks. For me personally, though, I do feel like in-person PAC meetings are beneficial to me. I do feel like that person-to-person conversation, being able to look at each other and having a side conversation. And for me, I'm more able to focus. Completely honest, I'm able to focus better when I'm in the PPACG meeting room versus sitting here and I have emails popping up and I've got to other distractions. So in that, I would say I am more effective in person with an in-person meeting, but I also can relate to folks who are traveling, having to travel long distance. And I think, I also think maybe there's an opportunity for a blended type of meeting where, you know, if you can in person, that would be wonderful, but you need to conference in, either you have to, if the choice is not being able to attend because it, you know, for some reason, or you can attend video conferencing, well, it would be great to have them attend video conferencing.
So I'd like to throw my 2 cents out here. While we have seen coronavirus cases going down, they're not going away anytime soon. There's no vaccine out there that's available. There's no medicine you can take that if you get it, it'll just go away. I'm okay continuing with the Zoom while we're still in the state we're in. When I look at the news, it's gone down in some states and it's gone back up in others. In El Paso County, over the last week, you know, I look at the El Paso County Public Health Department website that tracks coronavirus, and we've had a pop-up in the county in the last month. So I'm a little reluctant to say let's meet in person. I'm fine with Zoom. If you want to have meetings, we can still do them, but see us have the option to continue with Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. There are some comments in the chat. Terry said, I assume we're still technically under a state of emergency, meeting only once a month. Why put more staff at risk? Gordon agreed with her, and then Miley said, maybe we can meet in person when it's approved, but offer Zoom for the remote, so that sort of blended approach. And Jessica Bechtel said, FYI, the TAC has elected to stay on Zoom for July. Roy prefers meeting in person, but only when we are sure it would be safe, which it is not yet. So, Anne likes to meet in person best.
And just to give you some kind of idea, in the last 2 weeks, there have been over 250 brand new cases of coronavirus. And unfortunately, we've lost 15 people died due to the coronavirus. So
is that El Paso County?
Yes, just El Paso County. So it's still out there.
Sharon Brown, I'm perfectly comfortable staying with the Zoom.
John DeVoe, how many people can our meeting area hold? If in other words, what's our maximum seating if we're all spaced properly?
We are just beginning to have that conversation, but it looks like our maximum around the table capacity will be no more than 11 people. As Jessica says, around 12. And that is, we are, I'm asking you for your feedback and your thoughts on this as we are looking at, as things are changing, so we can share those with the executive director and the board. But yeah, we're working towards a combined meeting to see what people prefer. But I wanted to hear from you all if you think a combined meeting is the right solution. It does change our ability to look at each other's faces quite so directly.
It sounds like go ahead.
I was hoping to ask a question about whether staff are currently working in the office on a regular basis now. This is Orrin Childers. If there are staff working in the building, what safety steps have been taken to accommodate them in that working environment?
So Orrin, at this point in time, we are strongly encouraging all staff to work from home. We are allowing up to 10 people to come in on either level. We are requiring masks in all open areas. We're requiring additional hand washing. We are encouraging temperature checks. We are doing additional information and outreach to encourage all staff members to make sure that if you have had anything that even might be close to a symptom, stay home. And a lot of that is, and extra cleaning. We have made additional hand sanitizer available. We've, I don't know if we've got them on hand yet because there's not a lot of us in the office yet, but we have wipes and disinfecting. And we are looking at continuing to encourage people to work from home to maintain that very minimal staff in office.
And at this point, there's no public access to any services, is my guess?
So the actual thing is by appointment only.
Okay.
So our area agency on aging is providing 100% of our regular services, working with 100% of our regular service providers. But now we do require people to make an appointment to come in and do a one-on-one meeting with a staff member. And we are requiring that everyone wear a mask inside the building.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
It sounds like at the very least, folks would prefer that July still be a Zoom meeting. And then maybe it sounds like your staff and board are starting to make considerations toward a combined approach. And you might have an update on that at the July meeting, Jessica?
I think that probably sounds right. And we're going to obviously continue to share as information changes. And it sounds like you're all pretty comfortable with what I know for sure. We're July meeting will be Zoom, and we'll see what happens in August, September as our infection rates and things like that come around. But maybe moving to a hybrid model before very much longer.
This is Rick. You know, saying is that if you're going to dance with a bear, you better let the bear lead. And in this case, the bear is this coronavirus. And so I think the gentleman that talked about the situation in El Paso County had a good point. That maybe we better take a look at what this thing's going to do to us before we move forward.
In Woodland Park, our restaurants are all open. Our city hall is open. Understand, we've only had 39 cases in the whole county, and we've only had 3 deaths, and we haven't had any in a month or so. So it's a different situation. What we do on the Planning Commission, which I'm chairman of up there, is we give them the choice. If you've got an immune system problem or you're concerned about it, come in on Zoom. The officers come in and preside over the meeting. Staff does, but we're all probably 8-10 feet apart. The big advantage of it, you don't have many people come in the audience want to complain at you, so the meetings are over quick.
Okay.
Okay, did you get the input that you needed, Jessica?
I think that's really helpful, and I'll share that with our executive director. And although Sharon from our board is on the line, we'll also probably pass that along just with the feedback. And again, I really appreciate all of you. I know that this has been a challenge and a new and exciting time period for all of us, but I feel like you guys as a committee have made this really work and have really done a great job of making the CAC continue to do the wonderful work you always have. So I really appreciate you.
Thank you for that comment. We appreciate that, the comment as well.
Yeah,
Would it be
Jessica, you and I forgot the name, who's constantly taking meeting minutes. You guys have done a great job. Thanks for keeping us.
Yes.
In these. It's always hard to
appreciate it.
present and run a meeting on video conference. I can 100% attest to that. And you guys do a great job. And Aubrey, you leading us in getting our votes and our done an excellent job. So thank you guys for your good work.
Thank you. Okay, next up is member discussion. Any member items for discussion?
Can't think of anything.
This is Patty Benger. You may have heard that the governor has ended the moratorium on utility disconnects, but Colorado Springs Utilities is extending that. We will not be disconnecting anyone for non-payment at this time. We don't have a date yet when we're going to start disconnections again, but at this time, we're just waiving those fees and working with everyone as best we can.
Okay.
Thank you, Patty. Any other member comments or announcements?
Ann, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Oh, it's Ann. It looks like the swimming pool in Green Mountain Falls will not reopen this summer. Social distancing is not possible. It's such a small pool. And so they're making a lot of adjustments too. The trustees and the planning commission are meeting by Zoom because our buildings are very small. So I commend everybody who's trying to keep everything running. So including all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Councilmember Thompson, you're welcome to also make announcements at this time if you have any. I see that you mentioned in chat that the Labor Day parade has been canceled in Fountain.
Yes, so far the parade, there's normally an event at the park that goes with it. They're still trying to figure out if they can do that. I don't know. We'll see in the next few weeks what they decide, but the parade on Labor Day is being canceled, unfortunately.
Okay.
This is Donna Wood, and I just wonder if there is anything different or more or better that we as a committee can be doing to ensure that our communities are safe and healthy and that people are, I don't know, just getting the things that they need. Is there something more that we should be doing or not?
I think a lot of it is what you all do automatically. As members of the Community Advisory Committee, you are out there speaking and talking with people. PPACG has done the senior resource on COVID, and that's a website with a great number of information for Park, El Paso, and Teller County. And that's accessible through the ppacg.org website. And but that is specifically focused for older adults. And I think outside of that is really just sharing information with the people you know as you see it. helping make sure that you're being a great example.
And Donna, I appreciate the comment. I think that's an important consideration for all of us to be thinking on. I think as we move forward in our decision making, resilience will be more top of mind than it has been in the past. And this has been an unprecedented event that we had no sort of precedent for previously. But as we're making decisions moving forward, thinking about how our communities prepare for things like this that come about, and keeping that resiliency in mind.
I guess like one of the things is that there's the El Paso County Master Plan that's going on, and there's a group of people that are, working on that, and we have the opportunity to, do the surveys and different things. But I just wonder if, since we're doing that master plan, if we can look at the overall county and figure out maybe a different way of planning so that we can take the lessons learned through this pandemic on, just planning better to just, I don't know, making the county better. And I feel like with this, we have a lot of reports that we get, and there's a lot of information, but I feel like, we've got a lot of leaders in the room. What can we be doing differently or better so that we're better equipped to handle pandemics of the future, or, other things that are kind of coming down the pike?
I would like to make a suggestion. Running a Chamber of Commerce, we have this issue all the time where individuals claim they don't get information. So I explain, we put it in the newspaper, we put it on Facebook, we put it on Nextdoor, it's posted in businesses. And I said, short of me showing up at your door and giving you this information, this is all we can do. And I think it is up to us that every single citizen should pick that one way that they want to get information and be responsible for getting it. Because if you put your blinders on and you do not do anything, there's nothing we can do to reach them.
Yeah.
Very true, Terry. And thank you, Donna. That's a pretty loaded question. So I think a lot of us are going to have to spend some time thinking about that. If you run across lessons learned in other communities or best practices that you're seeing come out of the pandemic and how communities are responding, please do share that. You can't email the whole committee, but you can share through either of the Jessicas, and they can share that out to the committee.
And we always are glad to share out information.
Okay. That's good.
Great.
Okay, any other member discussion items?
I think next month we just simply want an update on the pandemic, whatever is current for that particular day or time. And if there's any extra information we need to know.
We will put on the calendar an update on COVID-19 and what PPACG is doing and what we know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was a good segue for items for next CAC meeting. Any other items anyone would like to request?
I have a quick item. Jessica, we haven't heard much about any kind of project updates or upcoming projects in a while. Maybe my memory's bad as I get older, but I know with CDOT especially, there's been a lot of conversation about, because of the Senate Bill 267, the funding limitations, and so there are some projects that are being canceled or projects are being reprioritized, and I just know is there someone that can give us an update on that so we can share that within our community? I just know some of the kind of the rumblings here and there, but I haven't heard anything concrete, and so I guess I'd like for us to get back to kind of business as usual and start getting really into addressing, you know, a lot of the transportation issues, the area of aging agency, all that. I'd like to get back to business, I guess, is all I'm saying.
And I will ask for next month for our transportation team to come and give us a little bit of information, although they may already be bringing us something, as we're still moving along just like normal. Nothing has changed for us. It's just that the transportation committee didn't have any amendments or big project changes to do this month. So I'll ask them to come do a general update on transportation funding and what's going on throughout the region. And that's our 3-county region.
Okay, that'd be great, thanks.
This is Catherine with transportation. I will have stuff next month, 3 items in fact, or probably 2 or 3. But I'll ask CDOT to come update on those just because they are better equipped to answer those more detailed questions, but I'll see if they can join us for our July meeting.
Good. Good. Okay.
Jessica?
Yes, Miss Ann?
Oh, you just muted yourself, Ann.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm really feeling kind of stupid this afternoon. Now that Tamara and others have brought up transportation, I've been in touch with CDOT myself, trying to get more and more information about road improvements up Ute Pass. And I imagine John is interested also into Woodland Park and beyond. Highway 24 is a mess. And this last project, for some reason, stopped at Chipeta Park. So I asked about that, and it's just a mishmash of funding. So that to me is very complicated, that we can't keep up a major United States highway into the mountains in really good condition. So if there's any way that we could learn more, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
And Convo, I thought that it come along pretty well. The original schedule from CDOT, because they put that on your Facebook every so often, how they're doing. It's supposed to stop there right around Green Mountain Falls and where you're at, because the last stretch of it will be up through Woodland Park.
Oh, good.
We've got so much traffic coming up here because of tourist season, but
Yeah.
they pretty much do it at night. I see they shut them down pretty much during the day, but given the handicap they have with the amount of traffic there, I think they're on schedule.
Yeah, that's good. And it did change somewhat because the Pikes Peak Highway, that was a major concern. So everything's kind of in hold, I guess, with traffic is still awful though, as you know, John. So thank you. Okay.
Good. Any other member announcements? Okay, everybody has the meeting schedule at the bottom of their agenda. And without anything else, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Great, thanks. Have a great 4th of July.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.